The next stages in this project are just to sort the back out and put a slight chamfer on the screw fixings, cut the joints, and then add colours to represent the different materials that we're using. So just very quickly click on case back, right click to activate. I'm just going to roll in, and I want to put a chamfer on this edge here so that the screw head can slide into it. 3mm is too big, something like 2 should just set that up so when you screw through here, this can then slide down over the screw head. And do a similar one on this side. Lovely. Save that, OK that, and save it, and go back and reactivate the case. Now let's inspect this corner here. At the moment, the wood, the long piece and the short piece, we've not done any joint. We could do a simple mitre joint through here, which would block off the end. I think I'm going to go for a lap joint where I'm going to cut half of this away to make a step and cut some of this away. So in actual fact we need to cut all of this away on the short one and the lap and this one. It will be more than strong enough for what we want. So let's scroll out a little, case short, right click, activate, and everything else greys out. I want to do an extrude, I'm going to go on this surface, flat from the top. If I go into hidden line view, I can see the end of the long piece there. And all I'm going to do is pick corner rectangle, zoom in a little, hold down the Alt key on the keyboard, click here, set a point, click on this line with the Alt key down, and click here with the Alt key down, so I've got guidelines, and then I can just snap that shape to there, because I'm cutting all of that off. Do the same on this side, just for ease of the drawing really. In real life you just trim your piece to this. So I've added, holding down the Alt key, added 2 guidelines. Don't want the center rectangle, I want the corner rectangle. Might need to set that point and then click here. There we go. Okay, if we just pop this back into isometric, it might be useful as well to pop it into shading with edges. I'm happy with the sketch. I want the extrude. Well, it's adding material and it's going the wrong way, so I'm going to click here to make it go in, and I'm going to click here for remove material. Just to make it tidy, I suppose I could say I want it to end on this face, so I can use this, pick this option, and zoom to and select this face. Just keeps it tidy, and then go OK. Also means if we should ever change this because we want to make it out of 14mm thick or 10mm thick, and we adjust that size, and that will then work. Okay, so that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good, but it's not what we want to do, is it? We actually want to go halfway through, so we need to edit this. So this is the active thing. We want to edit this extrude, find the section drawings, and we want to redefine it because we want to go halfway through here in actual fact, don't we? So let's pop it back into hidden line. It's this line we want to line up with, so I should be able to pick this. Right. So I'm going to just highlight that line and click delete, and I'm going to line drawing tool, select this, and it just pops a line in. Notice that's actually on the midpoint, and we can trim away the sections of line that we don't need. So as that's actually on the midpoint, we can slide this up to here or here. See the M come up to the midpoint, take it up, delete the segments we don't want, Okay, everything else is fine. If we put that back into shading with edges, we can now see that's looking a bit better. Because we weren't going to do a simple butt joint, we want to cut a step next in the long bit. So notice how this one is also updated with it. So let's just do a quick save. Activate case just so we can see what we're doing. You can still see there's interference going. So we need to cut this little section out here now. May as well do it on this one. Collapse this. Okay, so we're going to activate. We want to do an exclude. We'll do it on this face. So draw a rectangle. Holding down the Alt key on the keyboard, snap a line there. And it's this little rectangle. So snap a line there. And we want to do the same down here. Alt on the keyboard, snap a line, Alt on the keyboard, snap a line, snap in. And this section is going to get cut all the way through to the other side. So we go, okay, it's going the wrong way. And we want to remove, and we'll just tell it to remove it to the selected face, which is that one. And okay. Now we've got the joint cut on both ends and it's updated it on both pieces. So we save that. And that's pretty much everything we need to do with this. We didn't, last time we did an assembly, add the slider pieces into this, which would probably be quite a good idea to do now. Alright, let's finish the case off by assembling in the missing component, which is the slider blade. This is a short length of acrylic, remember, that's going to sit in this groove. It can sometimes be a bit challenging fitting things like this. If you start off with the bottom, set it in there, and make that coincident, and then take an edge and select it, make that coincident. We'll find that it's much easier to place in because we can slide it along. But this coincident I think will probably change to distance, because in real life, we'll change this one to distance. This coincident, double click on it, change that to distant. We'll put a measurement in here of maybe 2. In real life, this is going to be filed down to fit, but you need it sticking up about 1 millimeter. And we're just going to slide this along, because as you can see, it's a bit short. Everyone's is going to be in a slightly different position, and it's kind of going to be up to you to fit it and make it work. I know now how big this needs to be. I'm just going to temporarily say OK. It's all getting a bit difficult to see what we're doing, so just while we're at it, let me show you this. Click on appearance and we'll pick a colour, just any colour at this stage. We'll pick a nice bright colour, let's go for a nice red. And we'll get a chance to select it. It can be a bit hard to pick up what you want, but it's very easy to pick it up in the model tree and then just click OK. This sticks up here, I don't know why, it may not do on your one. OK. It's a bit easier to see what we're doing with this now, isn't it? So let's scroll in a bit closer. I also want to right click on this now and activate it. And if we just have a look at the details of this extrude, right click, pick that. That's the dragging end, so I obviously need it to be longer. And let's go back and activate the case now, because I can help myself work this out. because I just want to, not activating this now, right click on, I just want to edit the definition that tells us where it's sitting in there, and I want to make that face it may take a bit of ferreting around, but I basically want this face to line up with the face there. Okay, so that now you can see that's nice and tight there. If I go to this, right click on it, activate, and just redefine that extrude, so edit the extrusion there. I can tell it, I can drag it until I think it looks right, or I can use to face and then select that face. Now that's okay, but when we want to look at this out of its context, or maybe reuse it in another part for some reason, it will lose the reference. So if we now just do an extrude and drag it along, maybe look at it from a top view, so we're looking flat onto it, we can then drag this along, and okay, 138. I suppose if we were being picky, we could just while we're in this view, we could then put a little chamfer on that edge, not that much though, maybe a 1mm chamfer, and on this edge, and on there, and on there, and okay that. Now that's all good. Let's activate the case, zoom it to fit, because of course there's one that we want to stick on to the bottom as well. I want to assemble the last part, the slider blade. Open. Now if we have a look at this, it might be a good idea just to spin this round a little more. It's actually oriented the way that we want it to be to start off with, and select that, and that should be the same distance setting. Spin this round and see that green face is highlighted, so that would be a good one to go for here, and then that one's already pre-highlighted. I want it to go to this face. I might have to just hunt around a little. There we go. Everything's lovely, and you can click that. Right, notice though, what is this? That isn't coloured like the one at the top. It may well be that we want, for different reasons, to have different colourings going on. And that's an important point. If I colorize these elements in the assembly mode, it will assume that I maybe want a different color on each one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to open each file up in turn, which isn't a huge thing to do, because of course you still with the case back first. You've set your working directory at the start of the session. Okay, here's our case back. This is made out of MDF. Now, in the appearance gallery, if we drop in here, there's all sorts of wonderful things. Wood, let's have a look in wood. But because MDF's very rarely left as a material, it's usually a paint finish or something. So you could go to paint if you're planning to do a paint finish, paint spray, and it gives you a glossy kind of colour. Okay, so we could do an advanced paint spray white, and then just select the whole case, go OK, and that's gone a painted white if you fancy having it a painted white. Personally, I'd like to try and model a material that looks a little bit more like MDF. So we can go to more appearances and we'll give it a name, MDF, and its keyword is probably going to be the same, MDF, and the description will be the same, MDF. Now we've given it a name, we need to set some materials. There are a whole number of different types of material we could generate. We're just going to keep it generic. There's no subclass. Let's change the color. We can use a color wheel if we prefer. Blending palette. RGB sliders. Do that. We need something slightly brown. A bit lighter there. You can hunt around away. This is probably quite useful. Browns are a bit interesting. Maybe more into yellow. Okay. Can't see a bit more. Okay. Reasonably happy with that for MDF. Could be a little bit more over this way. Okay. So that's the colour. This is a preview. Let's just take the MDF's not shiny, that's hardly shiny, and you don't really get much of a highlight on it. Yeah, because it's not shiny. You certainly get no reflections and it's not transparent. Sometimes you get a slight shine, don't you? This will not have a great deal of effect until you get some lighting on it. And we can turn it up and down a little. I'll put the intensity just off the 100 and go OK, and then select case back and go OK, and now we've got something that looks a little bit more like MDF. This will be saved with this, it won't be saved anywhere else. So let's go to save, and then let's go back to our case. And you can see now that we've got two coloured sets of colours. We've got the red acrylic going and we've got our MDF. Okay, bearing in mind what I was saying, I'm going to open up the file. Let's go to, do the topic. Let's go to case short. And now we know that in the appearance galleries, click on that. We don't want a standard metal, do we? We want wood. And in the wood, we want to look at, that's kind of teak, the wood that we've got. Not quite sure to be honest. And if we look, we've got polished, unfinished, varnished, and there's a kind of texture. We want to go with the polish because that's what we're going to do, and we could do it face by face. We don't want to. We want to do it to the whole thing, and we want to go OK. Now it's got a nice brown colour, but we've not really seen much. Let's just do a quick save, and now we're going to go to render, just like when we're drawing by hand. If we click render, it will generate it with some grain in there. So teapot, because it's traditionally always been that way. Now this render's not the world's best quality, is it? So let's just have a quick adjusting of the settings. We go to render setup, we'll go to high. Let's take the watermark off for now. Output New window. Let's go for a bit of a bigger window so we can have a look at what we're doing. That's just the workstation. It's going to be similar proportion to the screen. Render. It's going to take a little bit longer. The teapot's used because that's what all the early 3D renderers for things like computer animations, they would always test their render engines on the teapot because it's got a number of different shapes and reflections that you can try on it. Now, that looks like the end grain there, and ideally it would be better for it to be on here so that we had grain running along there. This is looking quite nice, looks quite like the wood we've got. So let's get rid of that. We need to adjust this so it's looking right. So the appearance gallery is over here now. Bring that down. Clicking on it here, and we're going to right click and edit. Notice that this is a wood type. It's in the x-axis at the moment. We want to put this, Z's always the up and down one, so let's try this on the y-axis. And if we're happy with that, let's maybe just so you're not waiting forever. Let's try draft. We'll still leave it output a bit bigger so we can see what's going on. Quick look. Points of light or photons being bounced around. Okay, that looks a bit more like it, doesn't it? End grain, long grain, side grain. So I'm happy with that. Let's save that. Okay. And we need to do a similar exercise by opening up the case long, going to the appearance gallery. This is we've already got these in the model, so let's use that one. Case long. Okay. Just while we're here, edit that and put it on the y-axis too. You might need to pick this up just so you can see the close button. Okay. I'm not going to render this out just yet. Let's have a look. Nice. Okay, happy with it. Save it. And let's go back to our case and do a save. I will do a quick render of this just to see how we're getting on. This will just be a very quick one. Slider element, but everything's looking reasonably as we might expect. Yeah, acrylic, wood. If we zoomed in on that and we rendered it at a higher quality, we'd see details of the joint as well. So save that, but we now need to open. We'll leave the mirror till last. Open up the slider, and we should have all our materials in the session for this one. Apply it to slider, and then right click, edit, and set the y-axis and close. Let's open up the mirror back, open, and find our MDF color. There it is. And assign it. I'm recording myself. and set the MDF color and save that. When we have a look now at the slider assembly, you can see that the colours are coming on, all ready to go. What we need to do now though is set the mirror, which is a little bit more interesting. So, open. Open up our mirror. Mirror is essentially glass with a metallic surface on the back face, and that's in effect what we're going to do. So if we go to our appearance gallery, go through our advanced bits, go to glass, and just get a advanced glass, and we want clear. We're going to assign that to the whole mirror, okay? And that's our clear glass. We're going to go to metals now. So thinking about it. No. Metals. We're going to go to chrome. And in one of these, there's an advanced chrome brush plate scratch. We're going to go chrome. And this time we're going to put it just on that face and go OK. Okay. I'll put that into isometric. So it's clear with one face, the back face in chrome, and we'll save that. Okay, now open up the slider assembly, and you can see we've got stuff going on. Let's go to the render and just do a quick render of that before we get more involved with anything else. We still need to check that the grain's looking right, that the MDF's looking right. And you'll also see now why we need to make a bezel and a clip to stop the slider falling off the front of the case. Okay, brilliant, but it doesn't have anything to reflect at the moment, but the wood's looking good, and you can see we've kind of got something going on here as well. So let's save that. Our final thing at this stage is to assemble the slider onto the case. To do that, we need to make a new assembly, which I'm going to call keypress_2015 standard. Okay, I'll assemble the case first. Open that and make sure it's isometric just so you can see what. I don't want to fix this just like this. I want to actually rotate that so it's facing this way. I could do it by eye, or I could stick on the plane display. It's going to get a bit busy now. But I want to, so if I take this face, I want it to align to that one. And at least I know that's aligned up with everything else now. And you could take that face and align it with this plane. And what else? And you could take the back edge and align it with that. And it's gone gold, so it's good. Let's just check that that's looking alright and isometric. And take those bits off. And okay. Okay, so that's nicely in our isometric bit. We can use the drag thing just to see if that's okay, nicely fixed. That's what we want. That's it. Let's close this. Right. Follow the next bit carefully. Okay, so let's assemble the slider assembly and drop that roughly in place. We want to simulate the opening and closing, but we don't need to make a full mechanism assembly. What I want to do is I want that face there to mate up. It'll be coincident with that face there. Okay, get that in isometric. And then we can slide this around, but we've got nothing to stop it going this way. We want it pretty well positioned. So I've got then the top of this, I want to be coincident with that, which doesn't look too good. So look at it from the left. So in this coincident, I'm going to change to distant. I'm just going to slide that up a little. Okay. Good. So there's a gap. And I'm going to go OK. I've only set it in 2 features. Now, make sure it's isometric. Okay, here we go. Little test. Pick this up, and we can drag that, and now that's starting to look a little bit more like we'd expect. Okay, so we can drag this around. You can see now we need to come up with some device to stop it going all the way off. And that'll do. So let's save it. Okay. Okay, might need to click regen a few times. Yeah, there we go. Now, what we want to do, of course, is get a good rendering of this. So, we go to render. We could do it in a perspective view. But I kind of like the technical aspects. Or you could maybe at this point try trimetric as well. It's going to be quite nice for this. Now, we want to go to render setup. We want to go photo lux maximum. Output. Don't want to go to window. We want to save it as a JPEG. And that's a good size. This is the workstation side. We already had it set. Make sure that it's saving into your folder. Yes, it is. So you can find it later. You could put a watermark on there if you wanted with your name in it. So you can enable text. keypress2015, for example. On the bottom right, we're going to have a white background, so let's do dark grey. Okay, that. Then ask it to render. This render will take some time, so I'm going to go make a cup of tea. Okay, so now the render has rendered, and as you can see, we've got quite a nice detailed image starting to form. And it's got a little tag in the bottom. We're getting some shadows cast, grain on the inside. Pretty much good. So close that. One final thing, we can set this up in a scene. Let's find a nice scene. Experiment with these. This one. Double click on it. And go to room. And if you want it sitting on, like it's sitting on the floor, although personally I think you probably want it a little away from the floor, because this isn't designed to sit on the floor, is it? So we're going to use the scene. Okay, for that one. Okay. And then the setup. Maximum. I don't want the parametric bit. Now, bottom of this is quite light, so I'm going to leave that set dark. Alpha bit here is for half see-through. And I'll make sure shadows in. And it's adjusting it yet again. The scene. Let's change the scene to a basic scene. Go back to this one. Let's just go for render. And you need to go.